Here's a gem bit. The next time you want to describe someone using a gemstone, be creative. Don't use a diamond or a ruby. Use an opal. The opulent songs of her voice, with its rich and captivating tones, mesmerize the audience. And if you add that little French accent, it gives it even more panache. Voila. Discover the value of your story.
Increase. So this award lets me know that
Good morning. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va magnifique. Je suis heureux. I am happy. Bienvenue, Wanyin, bienvenidos, benvenuta, namaste, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each and every week, I get the magnificent opportunity to take you on an adventure, to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I take the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry, and I put it all together into a story. What I've discovered over the years, and it magnifies itself each and every week I do this show, that so many of the same characteristics, the same qualities, same attributes that we so highly value in gemstones and precious metals and fine jewelry, you can find those same qualities and attributes in people, in your neighbors, in yourself. So what I do is I take those gem stories and I use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help people, to empower people. And as I always say, oftentimes to remind people of the value of their own stories, of who they are, of how they resonate with the light. Thank you, Barbara. When I started this show this week, obviously I'm still in France. I want to say, first of all, happy birthday to all the people born in October. I'm going to go into a couple people that said, but when I started this show this week, we're going to talk about the space stone. And when I started the conversation up with the space stone, I realized something. As I was thinking about my own birthday, which happened last week, and just all the birthdays that are involved in October that I know. So first, I want to say happy birthday to my nephew, who's basically mon fils. Mon fils means my son, because his father, before he passed, him and I literally made a pact. And he said, if anything, they call me Wabi. The kids call me Wabi. So he said, Wabi, if anything happens to my kids, would you be there for him? And I said, absolutely. It was an honor. And this is even long before something, tragic happened to him and he passed on. So this is my son, and today is his birthday. October 18th is his birthday. This is Bryson, or as we call him, Boogie. And this is who he is. Would you see him? He is 11 today. And I just want to say happy birthday to him, to basically Monfield, my son. And of course, this is his attitude towards life. This is the alligator that he's wrestling at the museum, the Brookfield Zoo in Illinois a couple years ago. So I wanted to say happy birthday to him and to his sister. His sister is Gianna. She's a pirate. So she would wear a mask like that, whether it's COVID or not. So that's who it is. So I wanted to say happy birthday to him. I also want to give a special happy birthday to somebody that you'll see in a little bit, Charlie Jones. It's his birthday. Can you believe he's 39? Oh my God. I remember when I was 39 years old. So, but this is a happy day for me because this is the day he was born, and he has been such a phenomenal. Both of them have just been phenomenal people in my life. So, as I said, we was talking about the Space Stone today, and we should have Charlie come on a little. Charlie gets into the whole thing, and I get into the Marvel movies, but I didn't really realize what the Space Stone was. In fact, I didn't understand. I saw Loki have the Space Stone, and they were talking about the Tesseract. And I was just like, okay, the Tesseract. And when I saw the Tesseract, and those of you who watch the Marvel movies saw what the Tesseract was. It was this beautiful bluish white cube with immense power, just immense power. This is what the Tesseract is. And when you look at it from just a gemological point of view, this is a cubic structure. This is a totally symmetrical structure. So diamonds have this structure. And again, the Tesseract was a crystalline structure. So again, see how crystals and gemology play a part in our world, in our history, in the media, and the things that we see. So the Tesseract obviously is, I always say not real, but it's not real in our universe, in what we understand. But in the Marvel cinematic universe, the Tesseract is a crystalline structure that is made to house the Space Stone. And Charlie and I, we talk about the show before. And Charlie sent me some information, and I started doing some research on the Space Stone, and I realized that, oh my God, these are just some of the powers, the immense powers that the Space Stone has. Think about it: almighty object, spatial mutilation, memory manipulations, infinite supply, wish granting, infinite energy, the restoration. These are the things. These are just some of the capability. Object immortality, remote transportation, and all these things. Nigh omnipotence. I mean, like really. So these are the things that the Space Stone can do. But the key thing that the Space Stone does is that it gives the wearer or the bearer of that stone the ability to be anywhere in the universe. Think about that. Here is a stone that will allow you to be anywhere in the universe. So the first question that I asked myself is, well, what would I do with that power? Where would I go? If I could go anywhere in the universe, where would I go? And as I started thinking about it, I realized that the question that I was really asking is a question of value. What I want you to realize that each week when I do this show, and literally the mission in my life, starting from way back from when I had that conversation with God in regards to getting out of homelessness, I realized it was about value. The promise that I made to God was that if I got out of homelessness some kind of way, and it didn't seem like it was ever going to happen, but if I somehow got out of it, I was going to spend the rest of my life teaching about value. And the reason why I use gemstones, if you haven't figured out already, is because gemstones is one of the few things in the world that everyone agrees on in terms of value. Nowhere, nowhere. I'm in France right now. It's not like French people go, oh, no, I don't like gold. No, I don't like diamonds at all. Absolutely not. Everybody, no matter where you go in the world, people understand what a gemstone is. They understand the value of it. And think about how amazing it is in this world. I mean, again, let's just take a few seconds to oh, just think about and think about and memorialize the people who are being killed, not only just in Ukraine and Russia, but also in now Israel and the Gaza Strip. I mean, 300 people, 300 people died in a hospital. 3,000 people. And I'm not even talking about choosing sides, whether it be you're talking about the Palestinians or you're talking about Israeli people. People have, innocent people have died. So that's why, for me, the whole conversation of value is the most important thing that I can do in this time that I have in my life. Because once you understand what value is, once you understand that each one of us, my whether it be Charlie, whether it be Bryson's birthday, each one of those people they all had value. And the only way that you're going to understand what that value is you have to understand their story. You have to understand who they are. Who were they? Who were the people? Who is Bryson? He's 11 years old today. What is his story? What is his value? Charlie will come on and he will talk about who he is, his birthday, and the things that he's going through. What is his value? And part of the friendship and the brotherhood that Charlie and I have is because we both were United States Marines. Not both, both are United States Marines, not were, are. And so our stories enhanced our sense of value towards each other. And again, I started to think about the show in the beginning to just talk about, excuse me, what the tesseract, what the space stone was, but then I realized that it's even higher than that. And the reason I knew that is because of what happened to me yesterday. And as I always say, nothing has value without a story. So I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you what happened to me yesterday that was just extraordinary. Last year, and before I even go into it, so when you look at an opal, what are you looking at? You're looking at a colorful stone. This is the birthstone of opal. And as I said before, I don't have to get into the whole chemistry again. What an opal is basically silicon dioxide, the most common element on the planet, silicon dioxide. And opals are caused by what? Rainwater. Rainwater drops millions and millions of years of rain falling on the earth, and that water seeping through the cracks. And over millions of years, tens of thousands of years, it created a specific molecular structure that when that molecular structure is dug up and the light hits it, it creates what's called a play of colors. So each opal is an individual stone. It's not just the molecular structure. They all are silicon dioxide, but each one is individual is because of the way it was put together, those same elements put together, and then ultimately how it interacts with the light. And what you see is a manifestation of that. Keep that in mind. What you see in an opal is a manifestation of its story, of what it's gone through, and its value is based on what it's gone through to create that. So for me, yesterday, I got invited to. So today's last week we were talking about how to discover the value of your story, and I want to kind of continue on that because now, as a teacher, oftentimes in order to get people to see where you're going, to see what you're talking about, you have to bring it inside of you. You have to make it show how it resonated with you, show how that meaning, what those words or those lessons mean to you in order for the audience to understand the power and to comprehend the meaning of what you're saying. So last week we were talking about discovering the value of your story. This week I want to extrapolate on that. I want to continue that process. Yesterday, or really last year, when I came to France, I met these two wonderful people, Francois and Francoise. Think about the name, Francois and Francoise. Francois is the man, Francoise is his lovely wife. And last year, I went to his house. He invited me after playing pétanque. He is on the pétanque, the Telebos pétanque team, and he invited me to his house, which is always an honor. In France, when you get invited, everywhere in the world, but when you get invited to someone's house in France, it's really a big thing. It's not just, oh, come on, watch the game. It's a whole extravaganza. I mean, you wine and food. It could be the simplest thing. They bring out the pate, and that's how you know you are truly an honored guest. So, and Francois' house is a big house, big house, big piece of land. And in this part of the world, a lot of people will build their own houses. They build their own house. I'm not talking about just home remodeling. I'm talking about whole sections of houses being built. So Francois literally built this house. Okay. And then he has this whole big plot of land. And there was a project that he was working on when I was there. And he told me, or he asked me, would I be interested in helping him? So I was like, yeah, okay. I wouldn't mind that, even though I know I don't have any real construction skills. I didn't take a lot of shop classes when I was in school. I was a nerd. I was just went to science. Not saying that people who are into carpentry and woodworking and auto mechanics are not nerds. That wasn't the direction that I was in. So here it is. He invites me to go. He says, come on, we set it up. I was going to help him do his house. And as often the case with me, I will sometimes agree to different adventures. And then as the adventure comes up, I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I do? So because Francois he's truly a master craftsman. Francois does plumbing. He does electricity. He hooked up his whole house and it works. I helped him move an oven into it and he hooked it all up. I'm thinking, is this thing really going to work? And it worked. No problem. Turned it on. So when he asked me to help him that morning, as I got up, I said, what have I done? First of all, I had to do a speaking engagement because of the time difference at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I only got like limited sleep, but I wasn't really worried about that because I figured the adrenaline would wake me up. So I got up. I told him 0900 hours. Okay, 9 o'clock in the morning. I was outside waiting for him to come. He came pick me up. And what was so interesting about it was Francois doesn't speak English. He really doesn't speak English like at all. Maybe like 1%. He knows hello, that kind of thing. So this was my first test to not only do work with somebody who's truly a craftsman, one. Two, and Francois is this big, you can see it. Francois is just this kind of real French. And I just didn't want to disappoint him by not what he does all the time. I was like, really? This is how you hook it up? So I was already nervous about that. And then on top of that, from the moment he drove up to pick me up, I knew that it was on. So je parle français tout, all, every day. I have to speak French in order to communicate with him. So when I got to his house, he let me know that he wanted me to paint. And I was just like, okay, that's not bad. I can do that. And he set up the paint brushes and he gave me my first project. And he wanted me to basically paint this all these slats, all these baseboards white. And I was like, I could do that. And then I told him, monter mon un, which is show me. And he showed me, and I was fascinated by just the way he handled the paintbrushing, because I wanted to make sure that if I didn't know how to do it, I wanted to at least duplicate what he did. So, and that's the thing about stories. Sometimes the best way you can get through a story is look at the way other people regard the story, and then you mimic them until it becomes your story. So at first, I'm looking at him, watching the way he dipped the brush in the paint and how much paint he applied. And I was like, I could do that. Okay, I could do that. And then what's so interesting is as I started painting, still a little bit nervous, making sure I had everything right, I hear this pop, 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 pop. And I know, because I'm from Chicago, first of all, and the Marine Corps, that it was gunshots. And I'm looking at Francois like, Chicago? He was like, no. They're shooting birds of wazoo. So they're shooting wazoo. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So we're outside painting. I'm hearing gunshots because they're literally, I live in a forest, ladies and gentlemen. Calais, the forest is like right across the street. You know, deers and pigs and everything else walk around here like it's nothing. Whole bunches of birds or wazoo. So I'm hearing the gunshots and I'm painting. So we get through that and it was cool. It was really fun. At first, I started really getting into it and Francois comes up to me and says the best thing you can ever hear your boss says. He was my capitan. That's what I said. Mon capitan. So he comes. He says, très bon, très bon. Yes. So we finished that, and then I'm ready. By the time I did all those slats, I'm ready. I had it perfectly done. Whoa, voila. And then he says, okay, now let's go upstairs. And upstairs was the part that I was really nervous about because that's where he was doing the real home rebuilding, remodeling with electrical wires, floors. And fortunately, he had done a lot of it since the last time I seen it. So when I came in, he had all these drills. He has all the drills, all the saws, all the equipment. I'm thinking, please God, can I just keep my fingers? That's all. I just wanted to keep all my fingers because I kind of need my hands, if nothing else but to play petanque. So I'm thinking, okay, we can do this. And it was such a wonderful experience to just literally work with someone and to see just how they regarded the work that they've done. And that's the thing about stories, really taking the time to appreciate what you are, where you're at, with the person that you're with. So here I'm working with, and Francois is the same age as me. So here's a man, 63 years old. The way I know about gemstones, he knows about building houses and structures. And it was so, I felt like I'm 63, but I felt like I was 12. I was sitting there watching him, and he was doing all the mathematical, saying the numbers in Francais and figuring out, and he had his workman pen construction pencil, and he was making the marks and doing, and you could tell he was actually signing off on his own work as he was doing it, as people who are tradespeople do that. And he was, because he's a boss, and he was doing that. And the way he was trying to put the threshold into the door, I'm thinking, how are you going to do that? Because there was all these things. I know it can be done, but how to actually watch someone do it was amazing. And he put it all in. He did the cut, and I just wanted to make sure that I was there, that I was present in the moment. It was like, Obi-Wan Kenobi talks about the force, feeling a Jedi can feel the force flowing through him. That's how I felt. I felt like, even though I didn't understand everything he was saying, because he's speaking French way too quick for me, but I would catch the words. And after a while, I got so into what he was doing, I knew the next thing to hand him. I knew where to position myself. I knew what he needed. And he fit that thing in and literally took his, it was a chisel, and he took the chisel, pried the floor, and just said, pop. And it popped right in, and it was just completely flush with the rest of the floor. And it was just magnificent to work with someone from another culture and another language to understand what he did and to be a part of that, because now that story that I was helping him with in his house is now his story. My story was a part of his house forever. For as long as he lives in his house, I know that that was something that I did. And that's what you have to do with your story. You have to do and see that in yourself. Where are you? What part did you play in the overarching story, not just your story, but the stories of the people that you're with, the story of the environment that you're currently in? So when we finished, we had a glass of wine. We actually didn't have glass of wine. We had a couple beer. We saluted each other. I was so happy that I got through. I didn't cut. I still had all my fingers, everything else. And then in Francais, when you finish a project, you celebrate. So after we had the beers, and I'm thinking, okay, it's time to go home. We've been there working for a few hours now, and then we set up. Now it's time to eat. And someone told me once, I had a friend of mine who told me that if she ever went through France, she would just eat her way through France. And what I can tell you is French food is so magnificent that if you have a problem, if you have an eating problem, you don't really want to live here, because This is just, it's crazy. It's crazy the kind of food that is served here. Things that I used to hate to eat, like beets. Over here, you'll see there's like a whole tray of beets, like straight beets. No, just straight. I've gotten beatings from my mother because I didn't want to eat beets when I was a kid, and I'm eating beets. So I'm sitting there watching them set this whole table up. Okay, Catherine said, and now you had two French women, Catherine and Francoise, setting this up. That's like a banquet. That's, oh, you know you're in for a treat. So we're sitting in front of his house with this whole. Francoise is serving what was there? Oh, she was serving a zucchini, eggs, and fromage, cheese together, and it was just, oh, it was magnificent. It was magnificent. And then she put the, so that's the zucchini, of course, wine. Wine is, oh, you see my beer bottle right there. Whether you finish my beer bottle. And in France, when someone invites you to their house, and they always have wine, so you have to let the host pour the first glass of wine for you. That's just tradition. So Francois, I'm still drinking my beer. He pours the wine, so there's the wine. So of course I got to drink the wine, and then Francoise puts this is veal. He no, yeah, it was veal on it, and it was just, oh my God, it was. When you eat in France, all I can tell you, it is a completely decadent experience. Your tongue, you realize that you have a tongue after you've eaten in France. If you didn't know it before, you understand what taste buds was. If you slept in that class, in that science class in biology, when they were talking about what the purposes of taste buds are, you understand the purposes of taste buds in France. Okay. To me, all the countries that ever invaded France came to France for food. Really, it's just the end of wine. So there, and then after I was finished eating this, then she served apple pie. Ladies and gentlemen, this is apple pie. Okay, this is apple pie. Gâteau, the pomme de gâteau. I think it would be apple pie. Apple pomme gâteau is cake. So pomme de gâteau, apple pie, and it was just magnificent. And then of course we're drinking wine. We're drinking, so Francois and I, we're sitting outside in the middle of the day, the middle of the afternoon. We're drinking wine. Of course, I like wine. And those of you who are worried, no, I'm not an alcoholic. But I do understand. I do. You don't have to worry about me being alcoholic. I do understand that my mom was an alcoholic, and I had issues with that. But I do understand. So here's my glass. Here's my beer. Here's my glass of wine, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this. Is a wonderful red wine from it was from the Bordeaux area. From Bordeaux. So I'm drinking the wine. As you can see, I'm really drinking the wine. And I put this picture on Facebook, and to my friends and family who are LGBT. This is not a romantic picture. This is literally a picture of me after drinking 4 or 5. You see the bottle's almost done. Drinking 4 or 5 glasses of wine. I just felt I couldn't even move. I was like, oh my God, can I just lay on you? And the brotherhood, the friendship, just the beauty of that was just so spectacular. And then then afterwards, in the French tradition, afterwards you go and play pétanque. So I'm barely able to stand more than anything else, and I'm playing this game, and it was an absolutely perfect day. It was a perfect day. And afterwards, we went to the clubhouse to drink some more. Okay. At that point, I didn't even drink anymore. I was literally drinking orange gin at that point because I knew I couldn't take anymore. My good friend, Marco, who's my commander, he put on my Marine Corps hat that I left in the clubhouse, and he just decided to wear his hat. Marco is from Madagascar. And he had just been wearing around the hat, and he saluted me. I saluted him. And it was the perfect day. This is JP. This is JP and GP. This is GP, one of the players, and this is Francois, and we're sitting there and together. And it was about 7, 8 o'clock at night. This is about 7 o'clock at night at this point, and it was the perfect day. So I started thinking to myself, if I had the space stone, if I could be anywhere in the universe, that is where I want to be. What I happened to me yesterday was where I would want to be in my life. So the question is for you, where do you want to be? If nothing has value without a story, what would your story be? Where would you want to be? If this is an opal, and an opal is a combination of all the things that happened, the stories that made that happen, the question is for yourself, what are you? What type of gems? Where would you go if you had that option? So when we come back from the break, I'm going to bring on Charlie Jones, and we're going to just build on that. Build on that, the concept of the space stone taking you anywhere you want to go. And the question I'm going to ask him, and you ask yourself, where would you want to go if you could go anywhere in the universe? So I'll see you to answer that question when we come back from the other side. All right, we're back. Good morning, Marine. Good morning. Good morning.
Doing
How
well.
are you? How are you? Oh man! First of all, I want to give a blast. I'm going to totally embarrass him. A few days ago was Charles Jones. I'll give him his family Christian name,
Oh,
Charles Jones. It was his birthday. So happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday to you.
thank
The
you.
whole world now
And to
knows.
you as well, because yours was not too long ago either.
Yes, yes, October 8th. Yeah, it was fantastic. So, a lot of people are born in October. A lot of great people are born in October. So
Well,
we're in
clearly,
good company. Yeah, yeah, we're in good company. So the Mind Stone. Let's do this
Space
first.
Young?
I'm sorry, Space Stone. I keep saying the Mind Stone because to me, it really, and Ron, we did the Mind Stone last time, last episode we did this together. But to me, it's almost a synergy between the Mind Stone and the Space Stone. So let's talk about, you're right. Let's talk about the Space Stone. First, tell me, how just give a couple minutes of what the Space Stone is in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So the Space Stone is an interesting item because you don't really know what it is right away. It's described as a tesseract, and then like Captain America, the first Captain America movie, it is sort of introduced, and it's considered a power source for some reason. Like their Hydra uses it to power weapons, or so it's like this clean energy, infinite amount of energy thing. So you would think that that would be the Power Stone, but it's not the Power Stone at all. It's a Space Stone, and it's regarded as one of the most powerful stones that out of the six. And the reason why is because all of the different stones, they derive their power from what they represent. And space is pretty big. So
Yes.
extremely powerful, right?
Yes.
The Space Stone essentially gives the user of it ability to control and manipulate space. And that comes with a lot of different, I mean, there's a lot of different uses of that. One of the most commonly used things is the teleportation aspect of it. Thanos uses that all the time throughout the storyline to go from one place to another. And it doesn't seem like maybe that's a really great power because you have like Doctor Strange who can teleport using magic. But there's a difference between the two because Doctor Strange needs to know exactly where he's going in order to go there. The Space Stone can just put you wherever the hell you want to be. So it's a bit different in that respect. But it's also used as a defensive mechanism. So like when Loki tries to kill Thanos by stabbing him, Thanos uses the Space Stone to freeze the space around his arm and the dagger to keep him from stabbing him. So essentially makes that space unpassable for him. There's other times he uses the same kind of thing. He throws Bruce Banner into a mountain, basically, and just solidifies the mountain around him, which to me is probably the most terrifying out of any of the uses of stones because it's pretty scary to be thrown into a mountain and now you're part of the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
me, like buried alive is like the most terrifying idea I could possibly think of, and that's pretty much exactly
Okay.
what you can do with it. So
Okay.
it's powerful, but it's powerful in a very practical way, and that's not
Hmm.
the case with a lot of the stones. Maybe the time stone is the only other one that really shows
Hmm.
that, but it's dangerous. It's a lot more dangerous to use.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right. So understanding, I know how it hit me as I was doing, thank you for the research that you sent me, and I was doing more research on it. And I didn't know, even though I've seen all the Marvel movies, my phone's ringer is the music when all the Avengers got together. So I'm totally into the Avengers. I love it. Um, but I didn't really understand how the space phone, as you said, was basically the through line through, or at least the origin of the whole that phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, how it led through the whole thing. So as when I started reading it, I was amazed at the power. But then me being a storyteller, I said, okay, how does the Space Stone? What would I do with that power?
mm.
And I think all the superhero movies, not just Event, but all the superhero movies, even Batman one, what would you do with the power? If you were Superman, what could you do? And we know the story, Superman had to kind of make himself small as he was growing up, even though he knew he was faster, stronger than everybody, period. But his father said, no, don't do that. So how do you control that power? So how did my question to you is, understanding what the space stone can do, and let's just deal with the teleportation part. Where would you go? If this is you're 39 years old and you've been your Marine Corps, all the experiences. Where would you go if you had the power of the space stone?
That power space stone right now, man. I would go right where you're at, so that after the show we could go get some really good French food. Not that I need it,
Good
but
choice.
boy, do I love the food in France.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's probably where I go. We go and get some omelets or something. That would be
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It wouldn't stop there. But
no.
go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good question. You'd asked me that before, and I thought about it for a while, and I don't know where I would go. And there's so many things that I want to see in the world. There's so many things that I want to
Mhm,
be present for, and to just take in. And like I love to travel, and that's one of the things about it.
mhm,
You always discover new things about the world when you go out and see it for
mhm,
yourself. That's the main difference you get from appearing somewhere as opposed to just watching it on a screen. Like you can interact with it. You can't. It's like the famous line in Good Will Hunting. It's like, I bet you can't tell me what the Sistine Chapel smells like, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
I'd like to go to all these different places, but it's about the people that you're with too. So I'd take them with me because you want to experience those things with other people. You want to be there with it and to share in
mhm.
that experience. So I'm not really sure. There's a lot of places I would go, to be honest with you, man. But
Yeah.
I would probably go everywhere.
Yeah. And that's what, I'm always amazed that obviously we live in a social media world and things like this. And I'm always amazed, this is my own personal bias. I'm always amazed at how I see so many TikTok and Facebook posts where people will do their selfie. They'll have this selfie of themselves, and that's cool, but they'll never really talk about where they're at. Like they don't talk. There's a person I know who literally went to Thailand, and the person's in Thailand, and they were showing pictures of the vending machines in Thailand. And I'm like, you're in Thailand. Like, how does and I think that's what happens with value. We minimize the places that we go, or more importantly, the people that we met during this journey. When I went to the first time I went to the Louvre, I almost got thrown out because, and I have to find this picture. There's this statue. It's these four guys who are standing. I mean, huge statues. They're literally 8 feet tall, and they're huge. I mean, just gigantic figures, male figures, and they don't have anything on but like some kind of toga, some kind of let's say shorts on. And of course, back in those days, a lot of the statues, the male genitalia was exposed. So here you have these guys that are like 9 feet, 10 feet tall, and their genitalia was like maybe like the size of this mouse. And the way he was looking, the way all four of them, they were facing north, south, east, and west, and all four of them are looking down to me, looking down at their genitalia. And the first thing that came to my mind was the old Burger King commercial, "Where's the beef?" And and Charlie, I don't know where my mind was at that
Oh
time,
boy.
but I started just cracking up. And the security guards came up and says, "Monsieur, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "But look at this." And he's like, well, pourquoi? I was like, "Look at this. Whoever the artist was made these huge statues. Why they give my man that? Like, he's sitting there like, what's up?" And what I always remember about the experience is just how hard the security guards was trying to keep from laughing. He agreed with me, but he couldn't laugh because he's French and he couldn't do that. So tell me a place that you've gone, and you've gone a lot of places. Tell me a place. I know I'm totally putting you on the spot. Tell me a place that you remember not only the place, but you remember the experience that you had.
So in high school, my going into senior year, uh, right after 9/11 happened, it was like 2002, and my buddy Owen and I had realized that because right after 9/11, international plane tickets took a nosedive in cost, right? It was a lot cheaper to fly. So we actually figured out that going to Germany and Austria was cheaper than going to Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
$150 round trip tickets,
Uh-huh.
and
Wow.
he had done study abroads when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually got to stay with a couple of families while we were there and save a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually went to Germany and Austria. One of the places that we went, there was a castle, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to show you the picture sometime. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember specifically that was a really cool experience. But one of the things I remember the most vividly about it is we were in the castle and we were kind of looking over it because you looked out over the entire area
Mm-hmm.
off of the, like, not the balcony, but like the high end of the wall on the one side. And there was one house in the middle of this really big field. And it was
Mm-hmm.
really weird because it was the only house there and it was pretty far from everything else. And apparently that was the hangman's house.
Mm.
So
Wow.
nobody wanted to live around the hangman. Like the hangman was the guy that nobody wanted to be around because he's
Uh-huh.
the hangman. So
Uh-huh.
literally the executioner, and his
Uh-huh.
house is segregated in this little tiny spot in the middle of
Uh-huh.
this huge ass field. And I mean, it was really fun. But that was like, and so I'm like, why is there a house there by? I mean, there's so much prime real estate right there, but that was
Uh-huh.
the reason why, because it was the hangman house. So nobody wanted to
Wow.
be around that guy.
Wow. And see, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what, I try to do on this show. Let people understand that just like a gemstone, when you look at, we're talking about opals this month, you're not looking at it. No person walks in and just says, "I would like a small batch of silicon dioxide put together, and let's just see what happens." No one asks for a diamond. I would like I would like some carbon that's been highly pressurized and heat treated, please. Nobody says that. No one says, I want aluminum oxide when they're asking for a ruby or sapphire. But when you begin to understand gemstones, you begin to understand how it's all put together. And it's just like our lives, those memories. Like, I'm going to, next time I see a house out in the desert, now out in the wilderness somewhere where there's nowhere, I'm thinking, I wonder, did the hangman live there? I mean, because of the story that you just told us,
Right.
that's going to come in your mind at some point. Maybe not, immediately, but it coming. Like, I remember when someone told me about, I wondered, who lived in that house? And they'll say, "Oh, it's so and so." Oh, okay. I just want to make why, because I know somebody who lived somewhere. There was a hangman there. But you said something last night, and I didn't want to take credit for it. I thought it was beautifully said when you talked about the space stone, and you talked about gemstones, and Charlie's been a loyal fan of the Gem Hunter story, so thank you so much. But you said something really profound. So tell me, how did you, when we talked about the space stone and gemstones, what did you say last night?
I think what you're referring to is how gemstones
People
have
come together.
the
Yeah.
ability to bring people together. Like,
Yeah.
you imagine, I mean, the most obvious example of that is a wedding ring, right? Like a diamond.
Mhm.
That is literally the symbol of two people's union. So
Mhm.
that stone represents the coming together of two people to form a single life together. And
Mhm.
the space stone is interesting in that respect because it parallels that idea where it literally takes you to anywhere or anyone that you want to be
Mhm.
with. So
Right.
in a sense, like that's it's what I was, I guess, getting at was that it has the literal ability to do what our actual gemstones figuratively do, but in a
Mhm.
very real way.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it does, because and as I said earlier part of the show, gemstones, and the whole reason why to me this show exists is because of the just how, what else in life, the life that we're living current, not Marvel universe, our lives, what other substance on earth do we all, whether we have it or not, we all care about, we all have value. We don't even care that much of, as a science, I'm speaking as a science teacher now, we don't even care about the environment, the way we don't care about air and water. I mean, I was teaching my kids last week, 2 billion people on the planet don't have water. 2 billion people. There's 8 billion, for those of you who lost count. There's 8 billion people on the planet. 2 billion of them don't have water. And yet, not to mention what's going on in Gaza and cutting off electricity. But here's a substance, diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, opal, that we highly value. And what if we took that same concept of what we value in that, because the reason why we value it is because of the stories. So being able to take our stories, being able to see our lives as facets of the gemstone that we are, makes us who we are. I will never forget working with Francois and just doing that painting. No, I didn't paint that, even though he was calling me Picasso afterwards. No, I didn't paint that. None of those none of those baseboards will be featured in Louvre. This is by Monsieur Mixon. It is called baseball blanche. It will never be that. But for me, it was the greatest gift, because in this area, when you're invited, when you're invited to someone's house, that's already a place of honor. But when you're invited to someone's house to help them build their house, it's like you hold a really, truly special place in their lives. And I was thinking about when you said about gemstones and metals, and I'm here because of this. This is a Patonk ball. And the audience doesn't know that. I'm gonna tell you, I got a chance before I left. I got a chance to come to Charlie's house and meet Leah and Everly, his brand new baby daughter. And I brought my Patonk balls to play with Charlie. And what was so fascinating was not only just how much Charlie liked it, but tell the audience how did your girl like it? How did your girl like playing? What did you
So
see?
I realized pretty quickly that when she started playing against you, I wasn't going to get to play again. Like, she really loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was fun for me too, but I was like, all right, okay, my turn. And it was like, no, I want to play another game. And I'm like, okay. And that
No,
happened.
she was like, "Here, you hold the baby." She said, "You hold the baby," and that was
Yep.
it. And so when you think about the space stone, when you think about the stones, the infinity stones, I think, what do you think? What, let me, before I even answer, what do you think the reason why it resonates with people? Why, the both the Infinity War movies made over $1 billion worldwide. What do you think about, and I'm not even just talking about just the stones, but overall, what is about those two movies that resonates with people? As someone who really knows him and understands the movie we see in the background, what do you think resonates? What's the story that gives what's the story behind it that gives it the value for so many people?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One major thing is that a lot of people grew up with these stories. A lot of people grew up reading the
Mm-hmm.
comics and stuff. So it's a very special. I have a couple of friends, one in particular that collects comics avidly, and he grew
Mm-hmm.
up reading comics, and he holds comic lore right up there next to any other mythology or legend that you can imagine. And to be honest with you, I sort of consider that like modern day mythology because they are stories that are exaggerated, but
Mm-hmm.
so far out of the realm of possibility. That's the thing I think that really resonates with people is, like all of the Marvel series on that Netflix did before they went to Disney, all the
Mm-hmm.
TV series, like those were really good shows, especially
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil, because you could see
Oh,
it.
Daredevil was incredible. Yeah.
Oh my god! But you could see it happening. I mean, his abilities are really insane, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
any more so than him being able to take a beating by anybody and
Mm-hmm.
everybody all the time. That was probably more impressive than his actual abilities. But,
Mm-hmm.
you can see it happening. When the first Avengers movie came out, I was
Mm-hmm.
worried that the star power of all of those major actors that was playing in it were going to completely overrun the story itself. And it was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely not the case. It was I think it's one of the best superhero movies ever made, if not
Mm-hmm.
the best. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting that right up there next to like Dark Knight. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was a great movie too. But what they did with all of the people they had, the talent that they had, and they were able to tell such a good story,
Mm-hmm.
um, centered around things that we all wish we could kind of do and be. There are struggles. This is the thing about good storytelling. It's one of the reasons why I don't like Superman so much. He's
Mm-hmm.
too powerful. He's
Mm-hmm.
too powerful. He's got every ability in the world. When Superman first came out, he could literally make up his own powers. They had to
Mm-hmm.
handicap him after that because it wasn't
Wow.
a thing anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
like Tony Stark, right? Iron Man,
Mm-hmm.
the first movie that came out, he had major follies. He has major character personality
Mm-hmm.
problems. He's got so many issues on his own that he would never be the hero he is without the team. And
Mm-hmm.
that is life for most of us. We are not
Yeah.
capable of getting through this thing we call life without everyone else. And it's a stark reminder of that. No pun intended. Uh,
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
but that's
Yeah.
what I think.
Go ahead.
It's the the personalities come through in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Each person has their own personality, they have their own identity, and they play well together. And I think that's what really does it for me is that the chemistry is there. You just have to suspend your disbelief for a bit, and they do a lot to help you suspend your disbelief. The movies are
Mm-hmm.
relatively realistic considering what we're talking about. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's to me. It's again. It's those stories, and it's those stories that gives the movie value. But when you really take the time to, I think deep down, all of us, all those people that spend all their money, billions of dollars to go to the movie theater, they sense something different. They know it's different. Just like when you hold an opal, a diamond, or sapphire in your hand, it doesn't. Again, you don't think about magnesium, beryllium, silicate for an emerald. You don't think about that. You think about the story. What does it mean to hold this in your hand? Think about all the guys, and mostly men, 15, 16, 8, 17, 18, 19th century, that got on ships. I mean, think about it. They got on a ship, leaving from France, leaving from Spain. I'm in the places that they left from. They left in a boat. It wasn't like the, Carnival Cruise Line. It wasn't Royal Caribbean where you had turned down sheet service, nothing like that.
it
It
was
was,
more of a death
you
sentence.
yeah, literally, just just for the hope, just for the hope of finding something. Because once they had to cross the ocean, they still didn't find it. It wasn't like they landed and voila, they was just laying on the beach. They had to deal with the indigenous cultures, the indigenous animals, the plants, life, all these things, just for the hope of holding an emerald. Just for the hope of opals, the best ones are found in Australia.
Hmm.
The reason why they found Australia, because Australia used to be an ocean, like in the middle. There was a big, huge sea that all dried up. So now it's a desert. So you have to look for it. You have to find it. And what if we saw our own abilities? We saw our own abilities in that same way. No, Francois is not Superman. He's not Superman, but for what I was able to see him do with a piece of wood and cutting it and just seeing, he had to see the shape in his mind in order to make the cuts and do literally do geography. And the reason why him and I our stories are so similar, because his father was like my mom. So he grew up, his father basically, he told me a story that when he was a kid, before he met his wife, that he wished that he died every day. Every day he prayed for death. And and you've gone through the things that you've gone through in your life and stuff, and that's the story. So the value that we have is based on the stories. And once you find out someone's collective story, when I was leaning on Francois, I was leaning on a brother. When you and I get together, we're brothers. It's not even just like, and yet what was the story? For us, it was the Marine Corps. When Barbara when Barbara introduced us together, she already knew. She heard your story. She already knew my story. She was like, I think those guys would get together. And boom, soon we met each other. I knew I left there knowing, I got a new friend. I got a new friend. And that's what it's really about. Literally taking the time to see in your life, your own personal, what is your space stone? What is the thing that allows you to go wherever you need to go? It could be, it could be your car, it could be your children, it could be your education, it could be, what is that? It could be cooking. I mean, again, if you came to France, you'd be like, hey Barry, how you doing? Let's go eat. And I'd be like, Charlie, you just here. I know, let's go eat. And the stories that I tell you about the food would be the story. You would walk in with that value. You would walk in with that expectation. And I mean, here's someone who used to hate beets. I could literally tell you, you know what? If you eat some of her beets, oh Barry, I hate beets too. Just try it. Just try it.
I believe
so when I eat food now, people say, "Do you eat this?" I'm like, just bring it, because what I used to hate. I used to hate.
I'll tell you in a minute.
I'll tell you in a minute. Literally, if they gave me a piece of wood, they would literally. In fact, when I was in Bordeaux, the guy served something, and I swear to you, I don't know what he said, because he was speaking kind of, but it sounded like he said, "Monsieur, this is wood," and I'm thinking, and it kind of looked kind of woodsy, and I just said, I don't care. I was just like, oh, voila, this is delicious. But so before we
sauce on it, it'd be fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you need. And see, the thing is, you don't even need, how we get into ketchup and condiments. Here, straight, just the ultimate flavor. So before we go, tell me what's your space stone for you? What is the thing that allows you to travel in your mind and your spirit to different places? We just got about a minute or two.
I would say that my answer's changed recently. It's probably my daughter, and my girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's that's been a major shift in my life, and it's been a major driving force, and really gives me a lot more reason to get up and go during the day. So I would have to say that right now. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And those are two wonderful reasons. So thank you, Charlie, for always. Thank you for welcome to France. Welcome to France. We'll have Charlie again. We'll talk about the next stone. Thank you so much. And we'll start seeing a lot more Charlie, because we're going to do a lot of things. But to you guys, my fans, my friends, my family, thank you. Thank you again, always, for just being in my life, allowing me to share this opportunity and experience with you. I didn't want to be someone who just put pictures on there and not tell you the story, because it's the story that really gives you value. So your homework assignment this week is to look through your phone, because you got thousands of pictures on your phone. Just scroll through your phone and look at a moment, a time in your life that you'd say, or a place that you were, and think about that place. Think about not just that you saw the Louvre or the Eiffel Tower, or you was in Barcelona, and just talk about not the place, talk about the people, talk about the experience, and tell someone that story. Share that travel, that adventure that you went on with someone else, and see what happens. And when you experience that, when you tell that story from your heart, what that place made you feel, then you'll begin to understand what I'm talking about each week, which is the power of stories and discovering the value of your own story. So, as always, my name is Barry B. Mixon. I am a gemological storyteller, and I wish each and every one of you a wonderful day. I'm going to go out there and play some petanque right now. That's why I got my hat on ready. So, but until next week, au revoir, atatella, voila.